Epictetus on habits that kill your power. Power. The word alone stirs the imagination. Most people picture thrones, crowns, armies, applause. They imagine wealth that silences opposition, influence that bends crowds, noise that drowns all other voices. But that is not real power. It is theater. It is fragile, dependent, and fleeting. The man who depends on the cheers of others has no strength of his own. The woman who needs status to feel worthy is a prisoner dressed in fine clothes. And when fortune changes, as it always does, the illusion of power vanishes, leaving only emptiness behind. True power is not loud. It is not performed. It is not dependent on wealth, titles, or the opinions of the crowd. True power is quiet. It is invisible to those who look only at the surface, yet undeniable to those who encounter it. It is the strength to rule yourself, to stand calm in the face of chaos, to endure hardship without complaint, to act rightly without applause. Quiet power does not shout. It does not demand recognition. It radiates from within. Epictetus embodied this truth. Born into slavery, crippled by misfortune, he lived without status, wealth, or freedom. By the world's standards, he was powerless. And yet, he became one of the most influential teachers in history, guiding emperors, soldiers, and ordinary citizens alike. How? Because he mastered the only kingdom that truly belongs to us, the kingdom of the mind. He could not control fortune, but he could control himself. He could not silence the world, but he could silence his own complaints. He could not change the chains on his body, but he refused to let them touch his soul. That is power. But here is the truth few want to admit. Most of us are giving away our power every single day, not because it is stolen, but because we surrender it willingly. We bleed it out through our habits. Habits that seem harmless, even normal, but which eat away at the core of our strength. Complaining when things don't go our way, chasing approval like beggars chasing coins, wasting time in gossip and distraction, flaring up in anger at small offenses, living in fear of loss and poverty, seeking comfort instead of endurance, obsessing over things forever beyond our control. These habits look small, but together they are fatal. They are thieves of the spirit. They leave us restless, fragile, and weak. Epictetus saw this clearly. He warned his students again and again, "You are not powerless unless you choose to be. The habits you practice either build your fortress or break its walls." And while others look to the outside world for strength, the Stoic builds strength in silence, in restraint, in discipline. Power is not something given. It is forged. It is guarded. It is lived. So the question is this: where do you place your strength? Do you place it in the noise of the world, status, wealth, recognition? Or do you place it in the one realm you can truly command? The answer is not found in words, but in habits. Because your daily habits either build quiet power or destroy it. This is why Epictetus speaks to us today with such urgency. He knew that men and women across every age fall to the same traps, the same subtle weaknesses, the same self-inflicted wounds. And he knew that freedom is possible, but only if we are ruthless in confronting the habits that weaken us. So as we begin, hold this thought. The world is full of noise, but noise is not power. Power is the calm center that no storm can shake. Power is the ability to rule yourself. And if you wish to claim it, you must face the habits that kill it. You must strip them away before they strip you bare, because your quiet power is the only true strength you will ever possess, and it is yours to guard or to lose. Complaining is one of the oldest and most subtle habits that robs a person of power. It disguises itself as honesty, as venting, as harmless talk, but it is in truth the language of weakness. To complain is to declare that you are a victim of life, that events govern you, that you are powerless until the world bends itself to your wishes. Every word of complaint leaks out your strength, convincing you that your fate is in the hands of fortune, not in your own reasoned response. Epictetus understood this trap clearly. Born into slavery, subject to a master's whims, living with pain and limitation, he had every reason to complain. By the world's measure, no one would have blamed him for filling his days with grievances, yet he refused. He taught his students, "Do not demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." These are not the words of a man defeated by circumstance, but of a man who discovered that true freedom lies in acceptance. To complain about what is beyond your control is to fight shadows, but to accept it is to stand firm and unshaken. When you complain, you commit two errors. First, you waste energy in words that achieve nothing. You rail at the rain, but the sky does not clear. You curse the traffic, but the cars do not move faster. You pour your life into noise that changes nothing. Second, you weaken your spirit by training it to expect the world to obey. When the world does not, you despair. Complaining is not a release. It is a rehearsal of helplessness. Look around today and you will see this habit everywhere. Whole conversations revolve around what people dislike, what they suffer, what they resent. Social media has become a vast marketplace of complaint, each person competing to declare how unfair their circumstances are, as if the louder the grievance, the greater the power. But there is no strength in grievance. There is only bitterness. Contrast this with the Stoic, who endures without complaint. His silence is not indifference, but mastery. He has chosen to use his energy not in protest, but in response. He does not demand that the storm vanish. He prepares himself to walk through it. He does not cry out at fate. He adjusts his mind to align with it. And because of this, he remains calm where others rage, steady where others collapse. That steadiness is quiet power. The difference lies in perception. The complainer believes he is made miserable by what happens to him. The Stoic knows he is made miserable only by his judgment of it. One man curses the cold, another wraps himself in it as training for endurance. One man complains of insult, another sees in it a chance to practice restraint. The event is the same, but the habit of the mind makes one weak and the other strong. What then should you do when you feel the urge to complain? Pause. Ask, is this thing within my control? If it is not, then my words are wasted. If it is, then action is required, not complaint. In either case, complaint is useless. Better to say nothing, and better still to use that energy in discipline or endurance. Epictetus would remind us that life will not stop testing you. Fortune will bring cold, hunger, insult, pain. You cannot control that, but you can control whether you meet it with bitterness or with calm. Each time you refuse to complain, you harden your spirit. Each time you accept reality as it comes, you grow freer. And with freedom comes power, the kind no one can take. Imagine the impression left by someone who never complains. Others see it and wonder at the strength. They trust him, they respect him, for he does not waste himself in noise. His silence is not weakness, but command. He has conquered the habit that makes so many fragile. That conquest is the beginning of true, unshakable power. One of the most subtle forms of slavery is the need for validation. It creeps into the heart without notice, whispering that your worth depends on the gaze of others. You achieve something, but it feels empty until someone applauds. You act with integrity, but you doubt yourself until someone approves. You live not by your own measure, but by the shifting standards of strangers. This is not power, it is dependence. Epictetus warned his students that if you crave approval, you are not free. You have handed over your peace to the crowd, and the crowd is fickle. Today they cheer, tomorrow they jeer. If your happiness depends on their voices, then you live on ground that will never hold firm. If you wish to be free, he taught, do not care about what is not in your control. Reputation is not in your control. Applause is not in your control. But your virtue, your choices, your actions, that is yours alone. The craving for validation shows itself in countless ways. The young man who spends hours crafting the perfect image online, waiting for likes to affirm his worth. The worker who sacrifices integrity just to please a superior. The friend who bends opinions to fit the crowd, terrified of standing apart. Each one imagines they are gaining power by being recognized. In truth, they are losing power because they are ruled by others' approval. Quiet power comes from a different source. It comes from knowing that what you have done is right, regardless of whether anyone notices. It comes from the inner voice that says, I have lived according to principle, and that is enough. This does not mean arrogance or disdain for others, it means independence. A man or woman who requires nothing from others to feel complete cannot be shaken by their praise or their scorn. Epictetus urged his students to play to an audience of one, their conscience. When you have acted with justice, when you have spoken with truth, when you have endured with courage, then your work is complete. The applause of the crowd adds nothing. Their silence takes nothing away. This is the essence of self-mastery. But it is difficult to cut this habit because the hunger for validation runs deep. From childhood, we are trained to seek approval, first from parents, then from teachers, then from peers. The habit grows until it rules us. Breaking it requires vigilance. You must begin by noticing the small ways you seek validation, the way you feel restless if no one acknowledges your effort, the way you check for signs of approval after speaking or acting. Each moment is a mirror showing you your dependence. When you see it, remind yourself, am I not enough without this? Did I not choose what I believed was right? Then let that be sufficient. The Stoic's peace lies not in applause, but in integrity. Think of the figures who endure in history. It is not the flatterers or the people-pleasers we remember, it is those who stood firm, often against the crowd, guided by principle rather than popularity. Their power radiated not from the noise around them, but from the silence within them. Epictetus himself was no celebrity. He was poor, lame, living without honor in the eyes of his society. Yet men of wealth and rank traveled to sit at his feet. Why? Because they felt his independence. He did not bend for their approval, and that made him unshakable. That is why his words still stand, while the reputations of his time have long faded into dust. So ask yourself, do I crave the eyes of others, or do I live by my own reason? Each time you act for applause, you trade freedom for slavery. Each time you act for virtue alone, you strengthen your quiet power. The choice is yours. Will you be a servant to the crowd or a master of yourself? Gossip and idle talk may seem harmless, but Epictetus warned that they are poison to the soul. Words are not light, they carry weight. When wasted on trivial chatter, they drain strength and scatter focus. When used in gossip, they corrupt both speaker and listener. The tongue that speaks of others' faults neglects its own. The ear that feeds on rumors grows deaf to wisdom. This is why the Stoics urged discipline of speech. To waste words is to waste life. Epictetus reminded his students not to lower themselves to the common chatter of markets and streets. He cautioned them against endless talk of politics, gossip about gladiators, or idle speculation about events. Not because such topics are evil in themselves, but because they train the mind to dwell on what is trivial and outside our control. A philosopher's energy must be guarded like treasure. To spill it on gossip is to trade gold for dust. Today, gossip and distraction are everywhere. Entire industries thrive on feeding us stories about strangers, celebrities, politicians. Social media multiplies it, turning every idle thought into a performance for the crowd. We call it being informed, but often it is nothing more than entertainment dressed as importance. We spend hours dissecting the failures of others, yet neglect the one subject that truly matters: our own character. Gossip feels powerful because it places us above the person being discussed. In pointing out another's flaws, we imagine ourselves superior, yet this is an illusion, for the act of gossip reveals more about the speaker than the subject. It reveals insecurity, envy, a restless need for drama. Each word of gossip is a confession of weakness. The Stoic chooses silence over such weakness. He speaks only when his words are useful, when they teach, encourage, or guide. Silence itself becomes a form of power because it shows mastery over impulse. The one who cannot stop speaking is a slave to the tongue. The one who speaks with restraint commands respect. Consider how gossip diminishes trust. The friend who shares another's secret will soon share yours. The colleague who whispers behind another's back will do the same to you. When people know you as someone who indulges in gossip, they instinctively withhold respect. But when people know you as someone who refuses it, they feel safe in your presence. That safety is power. Distraction is the cousin of gossip. Where gossip wastes speech, distraction wastes attention, and attention is the currency of the soul. Whatever you give it to shapes you. If you scatter it among trivialities, your mind becomes shallow. If you focus it on what matters, virtue, wisdom, action, your mind becomes strong. This is why Epictetus urged his students to be vigilant about where they placed their thoughts. A distracted mind is powerless. A focused mind is unshakable. Ask yourself, how much of your day is given to idle talk? How much of your energy is consumed by distraction, by debates over things you cannot control, by stories that add nothing to your life? Each time you indulge, you weaken your quiet power. Each time you refrain, you grow stronger. The Stoic practice is simple, though not easy. Guard your speech, guard your attention. Refuse to indulge in gossip, even when it tempts you with the illusion of superiority. Refuse to scatter your mind in distraction, even when the world shouts for it. Choose silence over chatter, focus over noise. Picture the philosopher among the crowd. While others clamor about rumors and trivialities, he listens little and speaks less. When at last he does speak, his words are sharp, weighty, and remembered. This is the fruit of restraint. This is the strength of a man who does not waste himself on idle talk. And in his silence, in his purposeful speech, his quiet power grows. Anger seduces us by disguising itself as strength. When it rises in the chest, it feels like fire, like power, like certainty. To strike back, to shout, to curse, it feels like claiming control, but Epictetus would tell you the truth. Anger is not power. Anger is slavery. The moment you give yourself over to rage, you are no longer your own master. You are ruled by the very thing you believe you are conquering. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you without your consent. What harms you is not the insult, not the slight, not the inconvenience. It is the judgment you place upon it. If you decide it is unbearable, it becomes unbearable. If you decide it is nothing, it becomes nothing. Anger, then, is a failure of judgment. It is the choice to surrender peace in exchange for turmoil. Think of the small things that stir anger in daily life. A stranger cuts in line and you boil. A driver cuts you off and you shout at the air. Someone makes a careless remark and you brood for days. These are trifles, yet we let them steal our calm, our focus, our energy. We believe our fury proves our strength, but it only proves our fragility. The Stoic sees these moments not as injuries, but as opportunities. Each irritation is a chance to practice restraint, each offense a chance to prove mastery. Epictetus compared life to a training ground. Just as wrestlers do not grow strong without resistance, the soul does not grow strong without challenge. The person who offends you is your trainer. The inconvenience that stirs your anger is your exercise. To react with fury is to fail the lesson. To remain calm is to grow in strength. Quiet power is forged in the furnace of provocation, not by exploding in fire, but by holding firm in silence. When anger strikes, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is not, then why waste yourself on it? If it is, then anger is still useless, for calm action achieves more than blind reaction. Anger blinds the eyes, but calm sees clearly. Anger burns energy, but calm preserves it. Anger destroys, but calm endures. Consider the difference in presence. A person ruled by anger loses respect quickly. Their outbursts mark them as unstable, easy to provoke, untrustworthy. But the one who remains composed under insult commands a deeper authority. People sense his steadiness. They know he cannot be manipulated. His calm is more powerful than the loudest rage. Epictetus himself lived this way. When his master once twisted his leg until it broke, he did not curse or cry out. He simply said, "You will break it." And when it broke, he did not rage. His composure revealed a man whose power did not depend on his body, but on his will. That is quiet power, untouchable by insult, injury, or injustice. So when anger tempts you, remember, to indulge it is to hand over your freedom. To master it is to claim it back. Each moment of restraint is not weakness, but victory. Each time you choose calm over fury, you build the fortress of your soul. Others may shout, provoke, insult, or offend, but they cannot touch the one who rules himself. That rulership is true power, and it is silent, steady, and unshakable. Few habits weaken the soul more than the fear of loss. It disguises itself as prudence, as responsibility, but in truth it is chains of the mind. To fear poverty, to fear losing possessions, to fear the withdrawal of fortune, this is to live already defeated. Epictetus understood this with perfect clarity. Born with nothing, owning nothing, he knew that the only true poverty is dependence on what may vanish. The man who clings to wealth or comfort is always poor because he never feels he has enough. The man who can lose everything and remain unshaken is rich because he cannot be robbed of himself. We live in a world obsessed with gain and terrified of loss. People measure their worth by what they own, constantly comparing, constantly competing. They chase status not for the joy of virtue, but for the fear of being overlooked. And yet, the more they acquire, the more fragile they become. A wealthy man cannot sleep for fear of thieves. A successful woman worries constantly about maintaining her reputation. The chains of fear grow heavier with every addition of fortune. This is not strength, it is slavery to possession. Epictetus urged his students to rehearse loss in their minds, to remember that nothing external is truly theirs. Not wealth, not status, not even family or health. All is on loan from life. At any moment, life may ask for it back. To live in denial of this truth is to live in fear. To live with acceptance is to live free. When you accept loss before it happens, you disarm it. It can no longer strike you with surprise or despair. Modern life gives us endless forms of this slavery. Financial anxiety rules many, even in abundance. Consumerism fuels endless desire, leaving people restless no matter how much they own. People enslave themselves to jobs they despise, not out of love for the work, but out of fear of poverty. They mistake the trappings of security for security itself, forgetting that fortune changes in an instant. The Stoic sees this trap and refuses it. This does not mean despising wealth or possessions. Epictetus did not teach hatred of fortune, but detachment from it. If wealth comes, accept it with gratitude, but hold it lightly. If it goes, let it go without despair. Quiet power is not built by rejecting fortune, but by refusing to be owned by it. The key is to use possessions without letting them possess you. Imagine two men. One lives in a fine house, but trembles each night at the thought of losing it. The other lives in a modest hut, yet lies down in peace, for he fears no thief, no collapse of fortune. Who is richer? Who is freer? The second man, though he owns little, possesses himself. The first man, though he owns much, has already been robbed of peace. The Stoic trains himself by practicing voluntary poverty. Wear coarse clothes when you could wear fine ones. Eat simple meals when delicacies are available. Walk when you could ride. In doing so, you prove to yourself that your well-being does not depend on luxury. You remind your soul that peace is found not in possessions, but in freedom from need. Epictetus would have us understand what we fear most, the loss of wealth, of comfort, of reputation, is never truly ours. Life may take it at any moment, whether we resist or not. To fear loss is to fight the nature of existence itself. To embrace it is to stand beyond fear. So when fortune smiles, enjoy it, but remember it is borrowed. When fortune frowns, accept it, for it was never yours to keep. The one who lives this way cannot be shaken. His power does not depend on fragile possessions, but on the unbreakable fortress of his will. And that is wealth beyond the reach of poverty, thieves, or time. Comfort is one of the most deceptive enemies of strength. It creeps into life softly, promising rest, ease, relief, and pleasure. It tells you that you deserve to relax, that difficulty can wait, that hardship is unnecessary, and slowly, without resistance, it weakens the will. Epictetus warned that those who worship comfort become fragile. The body softens, the mind dulls, the spirit loses its edge. Quiet power cannot grow in soil watered only by ease. He lived with little enduring pain and limitation, yet he embraced hardship not as punishment, but as training. Difficulties show what men are, he taught. To seek a life without difficulty is to seek a life without strength. The man who avoids pain avoids growth. The woman who flees hardship flees power. The path of comfort is the path of fragility. Look at the modern world. Never has comfort been so abundant. Food appears at the press of a button. Work is made light by machines. Entertainment fills every idle moment. Warmth and convenience surround us. And yet, anxiety, fragility, and discontent grow ever greater. Why? Because we are training ourselves to be weak. The soul accustomed only to ease cannot endure the slightest hardship. A small inconvenience, a slow connection, a missed meal, a minor discomfort becomes unbearable. Epictetus would tell us that this is slavery disguised as freedom. To need comfort constantly is to be ruled by it. The Stoic path demands that we practice endurance, not because we despise pleasure, but because we refuse to be owned by it. Quiet power is built when you show yourself that you can live without the things you think you need. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort as a discipline. They would sleep on the ground when they could have slept on a bed. They would eat coarse bread when they could have feasted. They would walk in the cold without complaint. These small acts reminded them of their strength, stripped them of fear, and prepared them for the trials of life. for hardship is inevitable. Pain will come, loss will come, fatigue will come. The one who has never trained in discomfort will break. The one who has trained will endure. Consider the soldier who drills in heat, rain, and exhaustion. When war comes, he is ready. Now consider the man who has known only luxury. The smallest adversity shakes him. Which life do you prepare for? The answer is written in your habits. Each day offers chances for training. Take the stairs when you could take the lift. Skip a meal when you could indulge. Endure the cold without complaint. Work harder when you feel like stopping. Speak truth when silence would be easier. These small choices, repeated, forge resilience. They harden the spirit without hardening the heart. They teach you that you are greater than your craving for ease. Quiet power is not loud, but it is felt. It is the presence of the person who has endured hardship willingly. Others sense their strength, their calm, their independence. While the crowd trembles at discomfort, this person remains steady. While others avoid difficulty, they walk through it with dignity. That steadiness inspires trust, respect, and influence. Epictetus wanted his students to live ready for anything, free from the chains of luxury. He knew that fortune spares no one. Those who rely on comfort are destroyed when it vanishes. Those who have trained themselves to endure cannot be touched. That is freedom. That is strength. So ask yourself, do you train your soul in hardship, or do you soften it with comfort? Do you choose the harder path when given the choice, or do you avoid it at all costs? The answer determines whether your power will endure when life tests you or vanish at the first sign of pain. Quiet power is not won by living softly. It is won by embracing the discipline that comfort tries to make you forget. At the heart of Epictetus's philosophy lies a single distinction: what is within your control and what is not. He returned to this truth again and again because he knew it was the foundation of freedom. Forget it, and you live as a slave to fortune. Remember it, and you live as a master of yourself. Nothing drains human power more than confusing these two realms. When you fight to control what you cannot, you exhaust yourself. When you neglect what you can, you betray yourself. Epictetus taught his students to draw the line clearly. Your opinions, your choices, your desires, your actions, these belong to you. Your body, your reputation, your possessions, the behavior of others, the turns of fortune, these do not. The man who obsesses over reputation or wealth is chained to what is not his. The woman who rages at politics or gossip is consumed by what she cannot change. And both are powerless because they spend their strength on wind and shadows. Modern life tempts us constantly to forget this law. We pour hours into arguments online, demanding that strangers think as we do. We measure ourselves by approval, reputation, and recognition. We worry over the economy, the weather, the actions of leaders. We fix our gaze on what lies outside us, and in doing so, we starve the only domain we can truly command, our own mind and will. Epictetus urged his students to treat life like a game of dice. You do not control the throw, but you do control how you play the pieces you are given. To demand a different throw is foolishness. To use the throw wisely is strength. Quiet power belongs to the one who spends no time cursing the role, but all his time playing it with mastery. Think of how much anxiety fades when this is practiced. The insult of another cannot harm you because you control your judgment of it. Poverty cannot enslave you because you control your contentment. Sickness cannot break you because you control your endurance. Even death itself cannot terrify you because you control how you meet it. Nothing outside your will can defeat you if you refuse to place your peace in it. Yet most people live the opposite way. They neglect the control of their mind, but demand control over the world. They complain of others' behavior, but do nothing to master their own. They demand that fortune spare them, yet refuse to strengthen their spirit. They spend life chasing what they can never secure, while letting their true power wither. The Stoic trains by asking in every moment, "Is this within my control?" If yes, act with courage, justice, and reason. If no, let it go with calm. This simple practice clears away endless waste. It cuts off complaint, rage, envy, and fear at the root. It returns the mind to its proper throne. Imagine the one who has mastered this. He does not waste words on what cannot be changed. He does not fear tomorrow because he knows tomorrow is not his. He does not demand that others bend to him because he has bent himself to reason. His focus is narrow, but his freedom is vast. People around him may rage, despair, or crumble, but he remains steady. His power is not noise, not wealth, not applause. It is mastery of the only kingdom that never falls, the kingdom within. Epictetus left us no riches, no empire, no monuments. He left us this rule, and it is more enduring than marble. Remember what is yours, release what is not. The one who forgets this lives weak, anxious, and dependent. The one who remembers lives free, calm, and unshakable. That remembrance is the essence of quiet power. We have exposed the habits that weaken the soul, the constant complaints, the hunger for validation, the wasting of speech in gossip, the surrender to anger, the fear of loss, the worship of comfort, the confusion over control. Each one eats away at the foundation of strength until a person is left fragile, restless, and easily broken. But Epictetus did not stop at warning us. He showed the way forward. He gave us the practices that build the kind of power no fortune, no insult, no loss can touch. Quiet power is not an accident. It is the product of deliberate training, the fruit of daily discipline. It is the steady authority of one who has chosen to live by principle instead of impulse. It is the calm strength of one who has hardened himself against fear, against flattery, against indulgence. It is the invisible wealth of one who can say, "Take what you will from me, you cannot take my will." How do we build this power? The first step is self-awareness. Epictetus taught his students to watch themselves carefully, to become both actor and observer. Notice your judgments, your impulses, your habits. Catch yourself when you fall into complaint, when you crave validation, when you drift into distraction. Do not excuse it. Do not cover it with words. See it plainly. Without awareness, there is no mastery. With awareness, every moment becomes a chance to practice strength. The second step is voluntary endurance. Do not wait for hardship to come. Seek it out in small ways. Deny yourself luxury when you could indulge. Walk in the cold without complaint. Choose the harder path when comfort tempts you. These exercises are not punishment, they are training. They remind you that you can endure, that you are stronger than your cravings, that your peace is not tied to ease. When true hardship comes, you will meet it not as a stranger, but as an old companion. The third step is simplicity. Strip away what is unnecessary. The more possessions you cling to, the more you fear losing them. The more luxuries you surround yourself with, the more fragile your spirit becomes. Epictetus lived with almost nothing, and in that simplicity he found freedom. Ask yourself, what do I truly need? What burdens me without adding strength? Quiet power thrives in simplicity because it leaves you unburdened, ready to face whatever comes. The fourth step is reflection. Each evening, review your day. Where did you hold fast? Where did you falter? What habits did you feed, and which did you starve? This practice is not for self-condemnation, but for growth. The unexamined life drifts into weakness. The examined life sharpens itself daily. Over time, reflection forges clarity, and clarity strengthens resolve. Quiet power also grows in service to others. The Stoic does not live for himself alone. He teaches, consoles, guides, endures, not for applause, but because virtue requires it. Power that is hoarded rots. Power that is shared strengthens both giver and receiver. Epictetus's words still guide us because he gave his strength freely, shaping lives long after his own ended. Look at those who embody this today. They are not the loudest. They are not always the richest. They are the ones who remain calm in crisis, who act with dignity under pressure, who inspire trust without demanding it. Their influence endures because it is rooted not in noise, but in character. This is the fruit of quiet power. The path is not glamorous, it is not dramatic, it is daily work, invisible to most. It is in the moment you swallow a complaint, the moment you endure discomfort, the moment you release what is not yours, the moment you act rightly without applause. These moments repeated build a fortress within, and when the storms of life come, and they always come, you will stand unshaken. This is the promise of Epictetus, that no matter your station, no matter your wealth or weakness, you can build a power greater than fortune. A power that does not depend on what you own, but on what you are. A power that endures when the world crumbles. The habits of weakness must be cut away, but in their place grows strength that cannot be stolen. That is the path to true power. The world shouts. It equates noise with strength, applause, possessions, followers, displays of influence. But Epictetus reminds us that this is not power. It is dependency dressed in brilliance. True power is quiet. It does not require an audience. It does not collapse when applause fades. It does not fear when fortune shifts. True power is the mastery of the self, the rule of one's own judgments, desires, and actions. Epictetus himself is proof. He had no wealth to display, no rank to protect, no empire to rule. He lived in poverty, endured slavery, bore physical suffering, yet he walked the earth freer than emperors. Why? Because he had broken the habits that enslave so many: complaint, vanity, gossip, rage, fear, comfort, confusion of control. His chains were external. Most people's chains are internal, and that is the difference. So I turn the question to you. What habits hold you? Do you still pour out your strength in complaint? Do you still chase the eyes of others to feel enough? Do you still waste your voice on gossip, your mind on distraction, your peace on anger? Do you still fear losing what was never truly yours? Do you still cling to comfort, forgetting that hardship is the forge of strength? Do you still fight to control what was never under your command? Each of these is a thief. Each of these robs you of the only thing that matters, the quiet power of a free soul. But nothing is fixed. Habits can be unmade. Slavery can end. You can choose today to cut off what weakens you and build what strengthens. You can begin to practice silence where once you complained, endurance where once you feared, restraint where once you raged, discipline where once you sought ease. You can reclaim the power you have given away. Life will not spare you. Misfortune, insult, loss, and hardship will come, that is certain. The only question is how you will meet them. Will you collapse because your habits have left you soft and dependent? Or will you stand firm, calm, and unshaken because you have built yourself for this very moment? The answer is not found in your dreams or your intentions. It is found in your daily habits. Epictetus gave us the challenge in simple words. No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom is not wealth, not reputation, not the absence of chains. Freedom is the power to govern yourself, to meet whatever comes with reason and dignity. This is the freedom that cannot be stolen. This is the power that does not fade. So I leave you with this. Examine your life. See the habits that weaken you. See them clearly, and then with courage, strip them away. Build instead the habits that strengthen. Live each day as training, each trial as opportunity, each moment as proof that you rule yourself. Do not seek to be loud. Do not seek to be seen. Seek only to be strong in the one way that endures, mastery of your own soul. Let your presence speak for itself. Let your calm inspire others. Let your life, not your noise, declare your power. Your quiet power is waiting. Guard it, build it, live it. And when the world tests you, you will not be shaken. You will stand free, calm, and strong, just as Epictetus did.